Hi, my name is Harsh, and in this video, we will talk about how you can test your CloudWatch metric alarms for your local Lambda functions with the help of LocalStack. AWS CloudWatch is a service that enables monitoring of your AWS infrastructure by collecting logs and operational metrics of your deployment. One essential aspect of infrastructure operations is responding in real time to unusual changes in your metrics, such as a spike in your disk or CPU usage or Lambda function failures. CloudWatch metric alarms and actions are quite important for this, and you can develop and test them on your local machine with the help of LocalStack. In this video, I will show you how you can set up a CloudWatch metric alarm to be automatically notified when your Lambda function invocations fail. We will also walk through how you can set up an email notification using the simple notification service and the Mailhog extension provided by LocalStack. So let's get started. Before we get started with our demo, let us first start the LocalStack container and install the Mailhog extension. We can start the LocalStack container using the LocalStack CLI. We are setting an additional config variable over here, which is extra underscore cors underscore allowed underscore origins to allow the Mailhog extension's web interface to connect with the LocalStack container. Now, to install the Mailhog extension, we can head over to the LocalStack web application. Let us give it a refresh so that our LocalStack's default instance should be up and running now. And over this extension page, you can head over to the Mailhog card and click on the install button to install the Mailhog extension in your LocalStack instance. This action will restart your LocalStack instance, so click continue to get started with the process. This will take a few seconds, but once completed, the extension would be available on your LocalStack instance. With Mailhog extension, you can directly perform web and API-based SMTP testing directly with your LocalStack setup. Once the Mailhog extension is available, you can access the user interface by clicking this button, and this will be served on mailhog.localhost.localstack.cloud:4566. Now that LocalStack is up and running with our Mailhog extension, we can move ahead on our next step. For this demo, we have created a Lambda function that will always fail. This will make it easier to demonstrate the alarms functionality. I have a file created here called as failing-lambda.py, which has a Lambda handler function that will always raise an exception stating fail on purpose. Now to deploy this, you can zip your Lambda function in a zip archive and use the create function command on AWS CLI to create your Lambda function. I have a few handy commands that I can copy paste from this shell script. And this will create the Lambda function on your local machine with the help of LocalStack. Now, once your Lambda function is created, you can invoke it using the invoke command provided by the AWS CLI. In this case, all that I need to do is specify the name of the function and the output file, which is out.txt. Now, when we get to execute it, you will notice that an exception would be raised, which has been unhandled. And if you go to out.txt file, you can see the same error message that we have specified on our Lambda function. Let us now think about when we want to trigger the alarm. We need to define which metrics we are interested in and how thresholds should be calculated. If you run the list metrics command using AWS CLI, you will notice that we already have some metrics available over here. These metrics are reported for every invocation of a Lambda function. Now, I have created another command that uses the put metric alarm using AWS CLI, and this is what we have configured as a metric for errors. This is the one that we want to use to track the failed Lambda invocations. For this alarm, we will need the namespace, we will need the metric name, and we will need the dimensions. The dimensions parameter will make sure that we only consider alarms for my failing Lambda function that we have just created right now. Now, let's say that we want to get notified if the Lambda fails at least once within, let's say, the past minute. So in this case, the evaluation period is set to 1, and the period would be 60 over here. Next, for the statistic, we use sum, which means that the failing invocation within the last minute will be summed up, and our threshold is 1 with the comparison parameter set to greater than or equal to threshold. In case the Lambda was not invoked, we should assume that everything is fine. So we set treat missing as not breaching over here. However, before we run this particular command, we need to configure the action that should be executed once the alarm changes its state. Now, actions are optional parameters that we can configure for alarms. There is one configuration for every state. We have got alarm actions, we have got OK actions, and we have got insufficient data actions. We will execute the action once the alarm state changes. To do that, we can use SNS topics as actions with LocalStack. We must create the SNS topic beforehand, and we need to know the topic's ARN for the metric alarm configuration. Now, before we can use the email feature, we have to do some simple preparation. First, we need to verify the email identity using the AWS CLI. And the address that we have configured over here is where we want to send the messages to. Next, we can create the SNS topic. And in this case, the name of my topic would be my topic alarm. Once the topic is created, you can take a note of the topic ARN because that is what we are going to need for the alarm configuration. Next, we also need to create a subscription to this topic so that the email will be sent to this particular address. Finally, we have everything needed to create the metric alarm. So we can go ahead and we can copy paste this command right over here. And this will return an empty response. Now, if you go ahead and invoke the Lambda function once again, you will notice that you should get an email notification after 60 seconds containing plain text and giving you information about the alarm that was triggered. You can finally head over to the Mailhog extension user interface where you can see the email from the SNS subscriber endpoint. And on clicking the email, you can see the plain text containing all the information around the alarm that was triggered a few seconds ago. So this is how you can use a CloudWatch metric alarm to get notified automatically when your Lambda function invocations fail. And you can basically test the whole workflow right on your local machine with the help of LocalStack and the Mailhog extension. So that was the long and short of our demo. In this particular example, we showed you how you can use SNS email notifications, but that was just one way. In addition, you can also use SQS queues, webhook subscribers, or other SNS topic subscribers. We have also shipped an all-new LocalStack-native CloudWatch provider, which is available behind a feature flag. To activate it, you can use provider underscore override underscore CloudWatch equals v2 in your LocalStack configuration. The new CloudWatch provider enhances performance in reading and filtering stored data. Additionally, it also includes robust thread safety features while also addressing several concurrency issues. In the upcoming videos, we will further explore how you can use LocalStack to develop and test common AWS patterns effectively without breaking a sweat. Till then, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.